So it's been a couple of weeks since I posted an update, and I've been doing quite a lot of cleanup actually of the project, which I didn't post about because I didn't think it would be all that interesting. But I guess it could be pretty useful for a lot of people interested in game development or trying to get into it to try and avoid a mess. So in short, if you bring in a character or something like that into Unity, and then bring it into your hierarchy, you're going to start adding components to it, to different game objects at different levels in the hierarchy. And the problem, and that's fine to get started, but when things get to a certain, I guess, order of complexity, it gets to be just too unwieldy to maintain it. Say if you wanted to update that character for some reason, well, you're pretty much going to have to copy and paste every single component from every object on the old version to the corresponding object on the new version of your file, which is really bad and really tedious. But then what if you have a bunch of connections between those components, like say your scripts are talking to each other, or you've got you've used a public field to drag in, like, another component or something of somewhere in the hierarchy, referencing something in the hierarchy. Basically, all that stuff breaks. So that's not fun. So basically what I've done is created an empty game object, calling it the holder object. So like Prawn Jeremy, the actual file from Modo, the FBX file, I just drag and drop under Prawn Jeremy holder, which is just an empty game object, or a null, or whatever you want to call it, a locator. Yeah, there's some semantic difference, but not important. So then on the holder, I have pretty much the majority of all of my components, most of them being scripts. But it makes a lot of sense to have things like colliders or certain things on different parts of your hierarchy. So I have a setup script on the holder that basically goes through and adds any component that I had, on older versions of the model, to the game object and the hierarchy of the new version. Basically, saving me all of the setup. So it's a lot easier to iterate on my characters and change them and update them. A lot less hassle. But in the midst of doing all of that, I also added some new features, and I guess I started all of this with this little cucumber enemy over here. Not even textured yet, because I just got to a certain point with him where I was like, oh hey, I'd like to do this and do that, but I can't because that's not all, I call it quest mode. Whenever you need to accomplish some objective, but there's another objective in front of that you have to do before, and before you can do that one, there's one or two or three or four other things you have to do to get it there, and then between each of those you've got other obstacles. Once it becomes laughable, I just label it as quest mode. So I had to update a whole bunch of different systems, and I can go through them, but last time I recorded this video it was over 15 minutes long and the audio was bad, so I'll try to condense it a bit this time. So I'm using, instead of managing booleans manually through an update function, to basically disable them if they are in, if the FSM is in the state that the boolean would lead to, I now just use triggers within Mecanum instead. So that saves all the updating, update calls and checks and all that sort of stuff happening every frame. I'm also using optimized game objects on the rigs when I import them now for the characters, which is improves performance, which is great because one of the big things I've always been concerned about making this game is the number of bones. It's just so much higher on my characters than, if you had a biped, you've got 2 legs. My characters have 8 legs. Most bipeds aren't going to have like multiple different antennas and eye stalks and all that kind of stuff. Pteros have tails, blah blah blah. Basically, a lot of bones. So finding something that optimizes the rig for performance like that was awesome. And it also happened to fix a quaternion rotation issue I was having on the crab. After I changed its rig, reanimated it, that's another thing I've been doing lately, reanimated Prawn, reanimated the crab. Both of them have about 30 animations now. So yeah, anyway, there's a bug in Unity with Mecanum that it throws these quaternion errors at you, and there's not really anything you can do about it. In some cases you can. In my case, I couldn't find anything to do about it other than use this option to optimize the hierarchy, which is awesome, because not only did it get rid of the bug, which is Unity's bug, by the way, not mine. I've had plenty of my own. That one is not mine. So also increases performance, which is fabulous. So moving on, I've also added on the blowfish character. In my previous update, you would see the eyeballs, moving around, looking at things, and then the eyelids being able to animate independently of that and of each other. I've added the same eye rig structure, basically, to Prawn and also to the crab, and so they look around at different objects and stuff. And Prawn he'll look at an object in front of him. If, like, the crab is behind him, it looked awkward having the eyes kind of try to rotate to the side, to knowing that the character's there. It just looks better if he looks forward. And it's also the start of a little feature I wanted to have in for sort of hinting at, where there might be a secret or something. A lot of games do this in a whole lot of different ways, but I wanted to have my character, as you walk by him, just sort of glance at it for like half a second. That might not be very noticeable because his eyes are smaller than a lot of the other characters, so I might add, some other, like an audio cue or something. He might make a little like noise or something like that when he goes by and looks at it. But then I also think I would probably, if I'm going to make it more obvious like that, I might need to throw in some false positives into the game, so I'm not just giving away where every secret is. So I guess at the moment, let me just go ahead and show this character and what he does. It's not completely set up yet, but it works a lot like the likes in Zelda. It'll eat you and you have to fight your way out. And at the moment, I'm just going to feed him a bomb. And, he swells up, he's not harmful to me anymore, and boom, he's dead. So let me stop that and get him out of the way. Cucumber holder, disable that. Let's see. Why is that not on? It is on. Hold on. So let's see. Where is my crab? Crab. There you are. Crab. And you can see this crab is sporting new eyebrows now, which I was never really a fan of Tekken. A lot of other fighting games I preferred. And so yeah, but there was a character, older character with bushy eyebrows, and that image just came to mind when I was working on the crab. When I was updating the eyes, I was like, wow, these eyebrows are really simplistic and crappy. So I changed them. Let's move on now to the blowfish. Where are you, blowfish? There you are. And what you'll see with the blowfish is that it's now smoother, basically. It was looking a bit faceted whenever it got swollen, so I increased the geometry quite a bit, which is fine because, this isn't going to be out for a little while anyway. Let me go ahead and play this. So run around. You can see the eyes on the crab. He's looking at me, following me. And PJ is not looking at him until I turn. I just got hit, so he's running scared. I need to handle the transitions between these a bit better on PJ. They're handled just fine on the crab and the blowfish, but basically they don't go back to a normal state on PJ currently. So until I do something, like I can punch and he's squinting now. which is what he does when he attacks. And if I like hit him, his eyes went big, and then they go back to glaring at me. Let me get rid of Helm though. He's not really. There we go. And the ragdoll is still messed up. I haven't gotten to that yet because I was rebuilding the main character, but now that now it's all done, I can handle the ragdoll. Okay, Blowfish, much smoother now. You can still see a little bit of faceting, but you know it's nearly quadruple the geometry that it was. So it definitely looks a lot better now. So also along with the new animation thing, I'll just sit here and you can see that's his new idle animation. His new run animation, which I like a lot better than the old one. Basically, the old run animation is what I should have been using for a swim animation, which I should be using there, but I'm not currently doing it. So I'll have to update that. But that's all simple now, because another thing I've done for the use or the ease of iteration is set up the characters in Modo using actors and actions. Basically, yeah, it's similar to the whole film thing with different takes and such. So what it allows me to do, in the past whenever I'd bring in a character to Unity, I would have to manually cut up the timeline, you know, inputting the names of the clips, you know, setting the frame ranges of them, all that kind of tedious, annoying stuff that you don't want to be doing. But being able to use actors and actions in Modo means that I can export the FBX and have it cut up into takes. Take all of my actions and cut them up into takes that basically then Unity recognizes, imports the frame range of the take, and imports the name of it that I set in Modo. Which means I no longer have to do any of that tediousness, and it doesn't break things whenever I update stuff. So that's great. So odds are I am forgetting something, but there's always the next update for that. Thanks for watching.